Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's kick things off with a story in which a brand new car, a cracked engine block, and one very condescending mechanic sparked the most satisfying showroom shutdown you've ever heard. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Cars are like light bulbs, he said, so I helped short-circuit their Saturday sales. I, 22-year-old female at the time, early 1990s, had just graduated from college and landed my first real job. To celebrate, I bought myself a brand new car. Nothing too flashy, just something dependable, efficient, and shiny. It was my first big purchase, and I was proud. Fresh out of school, starting my career, and rolling into adulthood with the scent of new car upholstery still lingering in the air. My job required quite a bit of travel. I worked in specialized manufacturing system software, which meant I would drive out to client sites to help customize installations to meet their specific business needs. One particular job had me commuting 60 miles each way, every single day, for months. Needless to say, the odometer on my brand new baby started spinning fast. I kept up with maintenance, treated the car well, and still about 6 months in, I started to hear sounds from the engine that absolutely did not belong in a vehicle that new. I'm no mechanic, but I've got enough brains to know when something isn't right. So I took it back to the major metropolitan area mega dealership where I'd bought it. I was still within my warranty period, so I figured it'd be a quick, yep, that's a defect, and they'd fix it. Instead, the mechanic looked at me like I was a confused child and said in the most condescending tone I've ever heard, "Well, you know, ma'am, cars have a lot of little moving parts." He said it like I'd wandered in from baking cookies and mistakenly assumed I was qualified to operate machinery. I tried to push back and explain the situation again, and he followed up with what would soon become family legend. "Honey, cars are like light bulbs. Sometimes they just go out." I stood there stunned. A cracked engine block on a 6-month-old car was apparently the equivalent of a burned-out bulb. And yes, according to them, it wasn't covered under warranty. "Warranties are complicated," the manager chimed in, as if I'd just asked him to explain string theory instead of honor a perfectly reasonable warranty claim. My boyfriend, now husband, was with me and later told me he was quietly panicking. He'd seen me hold my own as the only woman in our entire STEM department back in college. And he knew I wasn't going to take this quietly, and he was right. I smiled sweetly, thanked them both, and walked out of the service department, but instead of heading for the exit, I strolled straight into the packed Saturday showroom. It was crawling with customers, couples peering into open hoods, kids climbing into back seats while salespeople hovered like sharks, and I went to work. I'd stand beside a prospective buyer, nodding like we were old friends, and casually say, "Isn't that color gorgeous? My car was the same shade. Too bad the engine gave out in 6 months." To another, I whispered, "This model gets great mileage. Just don't expect that engine to last more than a year, and good luck with the warranty." I made sure to keep my voice calm and polite. I didn't raise my voice or make a scene. I wasn't shouting, just chatting like any helpful customer might. "They're so friendly here, too," I said cheerily to one man eyeing a truck. "Makes it hurt a little less when they tell you nothing's covered under warranty." Within minutes, people started leaving. Others looked uncomfortable. One woman asked me what happened with my car. I explained. Her husband grabbed her arm and they quietly made for the door. And then, right on cue, the manager's manager appeared. He hustled out from the back with the energy of someone who'd just been told their bonus was on the line. He intercepted me mid-conversation with a potential buyer. "Miss, there's been a misunderstanding," he announced, loud enough for half the showroom to hear. "Of course your engine issue is fully covered under warranty. No charge at all. Come back to the service department and we'll get it fixed right away." I smiled. "Oh, good. Thank you so much." And I turned and walked back to the service bay like the world's most gracious saboteur. Sure enough, they replaced the engine block completely free of charge, and years later, that exact issue would become part of a national recall. My high mileage had just gotten me there faster than the others. I never bought another car from that dealership, and I made sure to tell anyone who would listen exactly why. To this day, "Cars are like light bulbs" is still the dumbest thing a man has ever said to me, and a phrase we still quote in our household with great dramatic flair. Well played. It was a great idea to share the rip-off artist attitude with prospective customers. I hope that you cost them several sales. And our second story. Oh, you can take your kids to work? I live in a rural farming town, and this happened at the local feed store. Think like Tractor Supply, but a mom-and-pop owned version. I went to get my usual stuff, chicken feed, dog food, etc., and had my 5-year-old daughter with me. She's looking at the horse riding equipment as she's dying to start lessons. I walk over and we start discussing what she likes and what she needs to start when a lady comes over and just starts talking about horses. I admittedly know nothing, but assume she was just an excited fellow equestrian who overheard my daughter and I. Then she starts asking for recommendations on stuff, and I admit I'm not expert and she might need to ask someone else. This lady gave me the dirtiest look and went on about how employees should be knowledgeable about their products. Completely oblivious to what she was hinting at, I give a polite chuckle and say, "Yeah, the family that owns this place is great. They'd be more help than me." She again suggests that employees should be more knowledgeable about their products in store and asks me for a specific type of rein. And again, I suggest getting someone else as I'm just here with my daughter picking up a few things. She looks down at my daughter and back up at me and says, "I didn't know the feed store doubled as a daycare. You shouldn't be allowed to bring such a small child to work." Absolutely dumbfounded, I say, "I don't work here. I'm just letting my daughter get her excitement out by looking at the products in the aisle we were in." Again, I suggest asking an actual employee because the family who owns the shop is terrific and has been in business for decades. With a very snotty look, she says, "I know you work here. I've seen you here almost every time I come in. You must be having a day off, but you could at least help me." I ducked out of the conversation to chase my daughter, who wandered off, and get checked out. As I'm leaving the store and giving county gossip with the clerk, who's a friend of mine, the lady walks up and complains how unprofessional I am and how even for a family business, small children shouldn't be allowed to join employees on their shift. The clerk looks at her like she's plumb dumb and tells her our customers are welcome to bring their children in. I don't know why they wouldn't be allowed. The lady still doesn't get it and just huffs some more about how we're lying to her. I pick up my hay, have it loaded in my truck, and as I'm driving off, this lady flipped me the bird. I'm still confused how someone who frequents the only feed store in the county that's been running for decades and thinks there's some wild conspiracy going on about me working there. Gave me a good chuckle, though. If it's a small enough town where you'll ever see her again, I'd talk to her like she worked in every single place I saw her until the day one of us died. I'm talking about treating her as a waitress at the church pancake breakfast, as the shelf stocker at the grocery store, the receptionist at the vet, whatever that lowest rung job possibly held by a person at any establishment where we might meet. And our last story. Karen parked in a handicap space and called the police. This is my friend's story, and it still makes me grin every time I think about it. Todd drives an old Dodge Ram 350 van, the kind that looks like it should be filled with beanbag chairs and lava lamps straight out of an 80s road trip movie. Faded paint, a few rust spots, but what really matters is what's bolted to the floor. A modern hydraulic lift that swings out from the side doors to lower Todd's power chair gently to the pavement. It's a sleek, heavy-duty piece of machinery, and it takes up every inch of the blue-striped buffer zone beside a designated accessible parking space. Which is why whenever Todd parks, he double-checks the lines. No room for error. If someone parks even a little too close, he can't get out. So on this particular sunny afternoon, Todd pulls into the bank parking lot, spots the single open accessible space with the required buffer zone, and maneuvers the van perfectly into place. He turns off the ignition, flips the toggle for the lift, and the side doors creak open, and then they stop. Jammed. Todd leans forward, confused, then realizes what's happened. A white Mercedes has just zipped into the striped buffer zone next to him, wheels still rolling when the driver, a bleached blonde woman in designer sunglasses and a pantsuit sharp enough to slice glass, hops out, clutching her handbag and speed walking toward the building without a glance back. Todd leans over and calls out the window, "Ma'am, I need that space. My ramp swings out there." She waves him off like an annoying pigeon. "I'll just be a minute. You can wait." Todd blinks. He's used to people being clueless, but not openly rude. He looks at the extended but jammed ramp. It's partially out, just enough to touch the side of her car. Well, okay then. He calmly reverses the lift, retracting it back into the van with a slow hiss. Then he pulls the toggle again. Thunk. The edge of the steel ramp kisses the Mercedes roof right over the sunroof. A crack blooms across the glass like a spider web. He pulls it back. Thunk. A dent appears in the pearl white quarter panel, unmistakable against the pristine paint. He keeps his expression neutral. This isn't aggression, it's physics. He has places to be. Thunk again. The bank's automatic doors slam open. "What are you doing to my car?" she shrieks, stilettos hammering the pavement as she rushes toward him. Todd calmly keeps his thumb on the toggle. "Trying to get out of my van," he says. "Just need a minute." Then Karen called the police. A patrol cruiser swings into the lot, blue lights flashing. 2 officers get out. The woman immediately launches into a dramatic retelling of events. "He's damaging my car. That's vandalism. He's doing it on purpose." The older of the 2 officers holds up a hand, already eyeing the handicap placard hanging from Todd's mirror and the bright blue access aisle markings under her tires. "Ma'am," he says flatly, "you're parked in a marked access aisle. That's an ADA violation." "But access aisles are there for ramps like his. You blocked it. That's a $350 fine, and we'll need your license and registration." She sputters, "But my car." Todd calmly offers to show the officers his dash cam footage, which clearly shows her ignoring his polite request and her vehicle pulling into the restricted area. Long story short, she gets a ticket. Todd files an incident report for insurance, and a week later, the final tally comes in. Sunroof replacement, quarter panel repaint, realignment of the frame. Turns out that third thunk hit harder than she realized. And to top it off, the hydraulic lift on Todd's van was slightly bent and needed repairs. Her insurance company, when presented with the video and the police report, paid the full amount. A month later, Todd replaces the decal on his side door, the one that used to say, "Please leave room for ramp." It now reads, "Ignore at your own risk." What I really love is how Todd let the situation prove itself. No shouting, no revenge plotting, just a calm demonstration of why those striped lines exist. It flipped the script on the usual disabled people are inconveniencing me attitude and forced Karen, and anyone watching, to see who was actually inconveniencing whom. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.